Alright, here's a pile of dishes we're going to go over. This is some of my favorites. Welcome back to the trail with Mushy the Cowboy Cook. Today we're going to go over some of my dishes and tools that I use. Once I started gathering these up, even thinking about it, I realized I probably do a couple of different parts of sections of video over time of a lot of my dishes, talk about where I get them from, cleaning them, and the history on any of it that I know about. So let's get into the video. All right, for my tools and dishes I like to cook with. First thing, as far as handling the dishes, I love my lid lifter. You can find them at outdoor sporting goods stores, places like that. And what's nice about it, when you lift up the lid of your Dutch oven, you can turn it up to pour the ashes out of the top. And that's a real nice feature. It's not going anywhere. And then, but you can use this part to lift up the bale. You can lift up the lid with it. You can lift the lid. It's not as sturdy, obviously, but it will lift up the lid. Real nice tool. And then this tool, I think I found this at a Civil War reenactment. When you go to shows like that, there's always vendors and craftspeople, blacksmith making things for the people, for the reenactors to buy. And this is nice to pick up hot coals, or to pick them up and put them on your Dutch oven. And then y'all have seen me a number of times using the meat flipper. You can find them left and right-handed. This is a right-handed, which from your body it will go in, hook in towards you. If it was left-handed, it would be hooking this way in towards you. And a blacksmith, all they have to do is heat this up and flip it over. If only you could find a right-handed one, but you need a left-handed one. And then this frying pan that I got from James Townsend & Son. It's metal, but it's got 3 legs on it. I know in Boy Scouts, we had a expanded metal grill that we would set our pots on, but if you're going to set something over to the side, you could make you another little fire and have you a place. So this is a nice pan. It heats up quickly, like metal does. Old knife. I have a feeling this one was probably cut down. Makes a nice little paring knife. Wooden handle. You can easily sharpen and keep it sharp. Really good little tool. Now my Dutch ovens, let me put these over here. I like to bake in them. I didn't put my 16-inch Dutch oven because it's so big. But here's my 14-inch Dutch oven. The 16 I like because put a trivet, that's just a metal trivet. You could put rocks, like some flat rocks down, something to get the pan up off the bottom. We've talked about that numerous times when baking. And then a pan like this, which is approximately 8 by 11, will fit down in there. Like this 14, it won't go all the way in. But a 16-inch will go all the way in, and you still have room to grab it and room for the air to get around it. Now if you set this down in here, it will work, but the corners be touching the sides, and then you're running the chance of it, if you hit the Dutch oven, if the pan moves or whatnot. So it's not, you can't fit much in here as far as pans. You really got to, I had to order these online, a smaller pan, just to fit into a 16-inch Dutch oven. But one thing I like about my 14 is my bump pan. It fits down in there. Like I said, I'll put the trivet in and then the bump pan, and I still have enough room to wear my gloves, to get my fingers down in, to grab the pan and pull it out. So when you're looking at, and you know, back in the day these were used in gas stoves, wood stoves to bake in. This is porcelain enamel, if you don't already know. But so it's, you know, whenever you put it in there, you got to get it out. And by having enough room to grab the pan and pull it out. So when you go shopping for things, take measurements of your Dutch oven, and when you're looking at pans, pay attention to the size and make sure it will fit in there. And you don't want it to where the pan is right up at the top, because once the cake rises, if it rises, you know, really far up, it's going to hit the top of the Dutch oven. You end up burning it and sticking to the top. Just makes a real mess. So do your homework when you go shopping. Personally, I like antique malls. They give you a wide variety of vendors. Now, when you do go shopping, look in every single corner, because in that last corner might be the thing you're looking for. Oh, somebody trying to call me. But just look everywhere, because you never know what you're going to find. And most of this stuff I have found at antique malls, sometimes at the shows, and then I like the Lodge outlet stores. They used to have one in Myrtle Beach I went to, used to have one in Georgia I'd go to. Now they have one in Concord, North Carolina. And by the way, I'll be there March 4th, and we'll be serving chili starting at 11 a.m. and we'll serve it up till we run out. I found this pan, and this is the same gray porcelain enamel, just a little lighter color, to bake in. Perfect size for a couple of people, and I bought it. I've used it. I've got a video where I use this on a spinach dip. And I'd gone shopping, looking at some antique malls, found another one, a little different color. I think the other one's a little bit darker or whatnot, but same size and really good condition. And that's another thing, when you do go shopping, if you're wanting to use it and not be a wall hanger, look inside, look at the condition. Pans, make sure it's got a flat bottom, things like that. A little rust on the outside doesn't hurt. Sometimes a little rust on the inside, depending on what you're using it for, doesn't hurt either. Now, I don't know if this was ever used for baking, but I like to put biscuits in here, put, you know, some paper towels if we're deep frying things, throw that in there. And then I've got a lid to help keep it warm. And so when you're cooking outdoors, keep that in mind, because as you're taking things off, you want to try and keep it warm, soak up the grease, things like that. when you go camping. And that's one thing, when we go out on shows, at times we're cooking a fair amount of food, and we want to serve it right. We want to serve like hot biscuits. If it's supposed to be hot, we want to serve it hot. And so things like this help us to store the food and keep it warm just like it's supposed to be, and like we like it. I love these muffin pans. This is porcelain enamel. This is some cast iron. This is a Wagner ware. This is a small one I have not used. Has no markings other than a 1 on it, but it's not very deep. Look forward to cooking something in it. Probably do some cornbread in it. And then I did some breakfast sticks, and this was one of the shapes, one of the pans I cooked in. And I've got several different ones. In that video I had one that was skinnier, but a fairly large pan. In one of my tubs, I've got a smaller version of that pan. It's only probably that long, of sticks, bread, to make bread sticks, that I'm in the process of cleaning. Some of this cast iron, by over the years, you go to some of these shows and it's rusty. I can overlook the rust, but I try and make sure it's in good condition other than that. And how I get rid of the rust is to use household lye. I'll put a little clip of the canister I use, and then I've got a couple of plastic totes. I put just regular water and sprinkle the lye in it. All right, here's what I use. Just household 100% lye drain opener. All right, how I like to clean my cast iron is using lye. This is in a plastic tub. I've got a couple pieces in here. This is a breakfast platter. Sorry about trying to hold everything, as well as the dishes, the pans. But this will sit in here. This is a, see, that's a Wagner. And I've got a couple other pans in here. I've got a nice square one. And over here on, I've got another tub with pans in it. Now, using household lye, it will eat through anything on the metal, on the cast iron, but it will not eat the cast iron. It's a slower process than some other processes out there. You can look on YouTube to find all kinds of ways to clean your cast iron, and they do work, but sometimes some of them are slower than others. Sometimes it's a little more involved to do it quickly. Some of the methods are actually kind of messy. I've done a number of different ones. I do want to put an electrolysis tank together. That's hooking up a battery and to pull the rust off. But I really like the lye. And with that, actually, let me get rid of these right quick, because I've got some special pieces here. This is a chicken fryer that was my grandmother's, and this was her cast iron frying pan. I remember many times going to visit her and her frying up liver pudding, bacon and eggs in the pan, frying up chicken or other dishes in this. They don't have markings on it, so They are definitely probably pre-World War I or so. Obviously, growing up, while I was in Scouts, while I knew my grandmother, just not really ask where she got it from or things like that, which I would like to have known now. But I cleaned these up, and what I did, I just put them in the lye water and let them sit for 2 or 3 weeks. I got them out, washed them real good, kind of looked over it, and put it back in. There were some things I still wanted to clean up that those couple of weeks didn't get to, but if it's a lot of layers, it starts taking layers off. You do a little cleaning, a little scrubbing, and then you may put it back in the lye water. So like I said, it does take a little while to do it, but it's well worth it. Now this frying pan, I can attest to the fact that she would cook in it, wash it with soap and water, and then put it over into the sink drain and wouldn't dry it. And things were not sticking. So these are real nice pieces. You know, it's not a Wagner, it's not a anything like that, or an old lodge that I know of. I don't know, doesn't have names, but they are nice pieces. And one thing, whenever you get into this cast iron, maybe your grandmother gives you a piece, or your mother, or some neighborhood friend, and has a little story behind it. And that really, to me, it adds a lot of personal value to it. Because knowing that, you know, this piece right here, my grandmother would cook food for us, and she used it all the time. Or, in your case, you know, a relative or a friend. I do have another piece I'll put on another episode that was passed down along to my mother. Now these next two pieces are pretty interesting. This spatula, I can't remember where I got it. Nice large one, long handle. I don't know if I bought it at a show or I probably bought it at an antique mall. This one, I know I bought it at an antique mall. This is a heavy duty one, much heavier than the other ones I've got and the ones we have on the chuck wagons. Thicker metal to start with. Inside is perfect. I know you can't see it from there. You could blow up your picture a little bit and see in there, but it is perfect. And on the bottom, and I didn't notice on this handle until last maybe 2 weeks, I just happened to pick it up and had it at the certain angle with the light and saw what I saw. And it's the same thing on this. USN for U.S. Navy. And it's the Vollrath company. It's VOLLRATH. They're out of Wisconsin. I think that's where they're based out of too. But they've got several manufacturing plants. But they have been in business for quite a while. And they still make kitchen supplies, and they make a lot of hot bars and things like that, cold bars, stuff like that. A few small wares. But when I found this, I'd done some history, looked up some of the history of the company, and they were producing things for World War II, for the war effort, and had gotten, I think they called it a G certificate from the government to certify that you're making things for the military, for the war effort. So you never know what you're going to come across and the history. So even though this stuff is new to me, it comes with a history. an American history. It doesn't say on here made in the USA or anything like that. I believe it was the 50s they started requiring, like, cast iron manufacturers and other companies to put made where it was made, so that when you looked at it you can tell. Now my last piece, I need your help. Put in the description what you think it might be. It's cast iron, looks like a pan, but it's not. This side goes up and over, and it's got, every piece has a groove that flows down to the bottom here, and then on one side is a little spout. My guess, it's so that when you're cooking things and marinating it, or putting liquids on it, any excess that doesn't go through the grate, through the opening, will flow down the little trough and around, and then you can always pour that off. I assume it's cooked meat on, obviously. But if you ever seen one, any history on it, a name for it, or a manufacturer, I'd really love to know. I found this at an antique mall. I used to travel a lot in South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and I'll tell you a couple of my favorite antique malls. It is Granddaddy's in Burlington, North Carolina. The Antique Factory, it's right above Stanton, Virginia. I think it's got a Stanton address, but it's right off Highway 81. There's one down in Lexington, Virginia. I don't remember the name of that. I like going there when I'm traveling. If the sign says antiques, I will go in it. Sometimes it's overpriced stuff. It's, a lot of glassware or home decorations that for the wagons and whatnot I don't care for. But I have found that in a booth, say like if one person is collecting glassware and they want to set up a booth, their spouse may be like, hey, get rid of this cast iron piece, or a porcelain enamel piece, or something to do along with that, and get rid of it for me. So it'll be one piece that looks like it's out of place, but I think that's the story behind it. Somebody in the family want to get rid of something. But my point of this, and like I said, I'm going to do a couple of videos. I've got a bunch more stuff to show you. Is look around. If you see it and you want to cook with it or use it, check inside, check outside. Overlook the rust for the most part, especially cast iron. You can get rid of the rust. Get rid of the rust, take care of it, use it. That's what keeps it in good shape. And a lot of stuff comes with a story, especially hand-me-downs. And like this from World War II. I saw the name on it and did a little research. We were doing one show, and this lady came up and had found on her family's property some wagon wheels, I believe is wagon wheels, and she was asking us about it. So we referred her to Engel Coach Shop out of Montana, I think it is, and he's got a YouTube channel, real good channel on wagon restoration and like rebuilding wheels and stuff like that. If you're looking at content like mine, you probably have heard of his channel. But she had a story. Mosey, his wagon, has a little story. In fact, his wagon, when the previous owner owned it, Cookie, who has two wagons, had based the chuck box off for his first wagon off this wagon, as far as the dimensions and what, you know, the cubby hole size, the height, stuff like that. So it's kind of wild how one saw a wagon, use that for some dimensions, and then one of us in the group end up buying that first wagon years later. Have fun with it. I have a great time looking at these antique maws, finding unusual pieces like this. You just be surprised what all you find out there. I know prices have gone up overall, but you can still find a lot of good deals. Keep looking. And if it's something you really want, buy it, because if you come back, it won't be there. I can guarantee you that. It's happened to me a time or two. But if you're not willing to buy it, don't go shopping, because you're probably going to find something you need. I hope this video has helped you out looking at some of my pots and pans and tools I like to use. I've got a lot more here on the ranch. I'll do another video that show you some other things. I enjoy these pieces. A lot of this stuff is very old, from the early 1900s, some of the stuff from the 1800s. But it still works, because this stuff was made to last. Can't beat cast iron at all. And this enamelware is really good. I enjoy cooking in it. I love baking in it, things like that. One thing, this, if it, something like enamelware, and I've told you about it before, if it goes over the fire, I take liquid soap and really put it on the outside, especially like these coffee pots. And then what I'd like to do is just set it upside down and let the soap dry out. And then use it, and then when you go to wash it, you barely get any water on it, and that soot is jumping off, trying to get off of there. Buy what you want, buy what you need, use it, keep it clean, keep it in good shape, and it will last pretty much forever. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video on some of the pots and pans and tools I like to use, or some of my favorites, some with stories. One thing I did not include, but as you know, one of my favorites, this red lantern. I couldn't even keep it burning on the table because I had so much other stuff on here. I'm going to put down in the description the dates and times that we're doing shows coming up in March. Like I said before, love for you to come out. If you live nowhere close by, the shows are cranking up, like the ones we go to, tractor shows, heritage shows, things like that. One we go to is called Old Mill Crank Up, where they have a grist mill there. They're all about the same, but a little different. Typically pretty cheap to get in, but a lot of fun for adults and kids. See a lot of old stuff, see a lot of crafts people. That's what to me is real important, these crafts people continuing these old traditions of making things and doing things that we used to do every day in life. But get out to the shows. Remember my Amazon affiliate link down in the bottom in the description. That helps out the channel. And to help out the channel more is to subscribe if you haven't already, like it, share it, and of course, hands everywhere, ring the bell, and Mushy the Cowboy Cook will see you down the trail.